And get started. You might get a little notification that says you are being recorded. So thank you for accepting that. And we're going to go ahead and get started for this month with our January 2025 version of our ECHO network. So just as a reminder, ECHO stands for Early Childhood Hoosiers Outdoors. And it's a network that is designed to support educational practitioners amongst a wide variety of ages and stages and public schools and home daycares, kind of a wide range of things. And it's just a really good time to learn from each other, share resources, and connect that way. So we're really excited this month to be having a presentation by two public school administrators. And both of these ladies actually joined us last year when we hosted a training with the Forest School Teacher Institute up here at Mary Lee. And we were glad to host them along with one of their other colleagues. And so we're really excited to hear more about the great work that they're doing down in Monroe County. And it sounds like down there you guys have like 15 inches of snow, so definitely a lot more than we have up here up north. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you all to learn more about your great work. So thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us. We're excited to be a part of this, and we really enjoyed the training we had last year, and Joe coming down and spending some time with us and devoting an entire day to just the two of us, really. So we appreciate the connections here and are looking forward to this. So we decided to title our presentation Thinking Outside the School. It's kind of a play on thinking outside the box. You can do nature-based education in a public school setting. And so we want to kind of share with all of you some of the things that we've been able to do in the Monroe County Community School Corporation.
So just kind of clarifying, I'm Sue and this is Andrea. And this is just conversation because we want to be helpful to you as others have been helpful to us. And I'm pretty sure all of you are in the same situation, but none of us are on the same level of implementation. I think Andrea is further along than we are at my building. My building is Lakeview Elementary, and we are a stone's throw from Lake Monroe in Bloomington. And Andrea is at Unionville Elementary, sorry, and she is on the north side of Bloomington. So in our district, we have 14 elementaries, and we all work really collaboratively, but over the entire district, we have about 10,000 students. So it's a large district, but our buildings, we're kind of small rural. We both have I would say a suburban and a rural community. Our campuses are quite large, and we'll talk individually about them, but please don't hesitate to stop us if you have questions. I will say one great thing for us is we have a building full of kids who love to work with preschool. So anytime when you talk about all hands on deck, at any given moment, we have the luxury of having other kiddos be role models for our littles. And it could happen every day, all day, if we would let it. So with us having access to additional, I would even say young hands and role models, it is definitely a game changer for this process for us. So I'm going to turn over to Andrea and let her take over.
Sure. So you can see here on the map, we're Monroe County Community School Corporation, which is in Bloomington, Indiana. My school is Unionville, which is actually it's its own little town. Has a lot of history. The school itself is over 100 years old. Used to be a K through 12 school, and in the 70s there was consolidation, and then it was just a middle school and an elementary school. And then in the 80s, I actually went there for middle school for 7th and 8th grade, and then in the mid 80s it was no longer a middle school, so now it's just elementary, pre-K through 6, and we have about 220 students. So I cannot take credit for where we are now. I think I've been at Unionville. I'll just give you a little bit of my background. This is my 3rd year at Unionville as the principal. However, I've been with the district like 20 years. I'm a former high school science teacher and was also a high school administrator, and then was also at the central office. So I grew up on a farm. I have a passion for the outdoors. I'm a 10-year 4-H member. When this position opened at Unionville 3 years ago, I was really excited to be able to become a part of it. It already had the foundation for a strong outdoor education program. And then I hope that I've been able to put my fingerprint on it a little bit and advance it a little bit forward, but I can't take credit for it. The school several years ago developed this vision that you can see it there on the screen. I'm not going to read it, but really the teachers got together, and the school and the corporation was encouraging each of the schools to have their own identity. As you know, there's been competition in education, and there was a movement in the corporation for each school to develop their own identity, and Unionville chose to focus on nature-based and outdoor education probably I'd say about 10 years ago. And within that, actually coined the phrase, the Earth curriculum, which is really a STEM curriculum. What we say is we're STEM certified by the DOE. We just received recertification for this school year. And we kind of say it's STEM through the Earth lens. And what Earth stands for is, you can see that it's attitude, environment. I forgot the environment on there. So it's environment. Let's see, maybe I didn't put it on there. Oh, it's up here at the top. I'm sorry. Environment, art, resources, technology, and health. So that's what the Earth acronym stands for, but also in the larger scale, Earth being outdoors and appreciation of nature. So you can see there that the learning community at Unionville will achieve this vision through the multidisciplinary STEM curriculum, which is Earth, with outdoor education. And then also we have for a long time, the mascot has been arrows. So we also talk about what it means to be a good arrow of attitude, respect for themselves and the earth, responsible decision-making, accepting ownership, having a growth mindset or willingness to try, and safe behaviors. So that fits in there too. And that's the acronym for what arrows can stand for. So we are very, very fortunate that we have a great outdoor spaces. We have a pond, and it's quite often that the teachers will take the students out to the pond to do observations. This is one of my favorite photos right here of this little boy making an observation in nature and drawing a picture and writing about that. And you can see here's a 6th grade teacher that has the students out there. We've got a little bit of I don't know, the benches that are there for the outdoor learning space. And you can see here this teacher is showing, I don't know if you can see, and if it's large enough to see, showing a turtle that they discovered while they were out there. We have a dock. You can see the pond over here in the background, and you can see here the dock and the pond. So it's amazing that the students are safe. The teachers clearly give the expectations for what they need to do to be safe out there, and it's amazing how well behaved the kids are. Many times somebody might say, well, we can't do these things because our students' behavior, they can't behave in the classroom, they can't do these kinds of things. But what we find is actually the students who are some of the most struggling in terms of behavior really thrive out in this environment. Is that the next? Is that the next? Oh, so I want to share this experience. This is one of our pre-K class. And I happened to be outside that day, and I watched these girls. There was 3 girls, and they have these little trikes and like balance bicycles. And I watched them as they saw where this little ramp was out on the playground. If you want to play that again so they can see it. And they went up just one section of the concrete the first time, just right up about here the first time. And then they kept going up a little bit further each time. And I asked the teacher, I said, when did they discover this? And she said, just now. This is the first time they've done this. So it was so neat to watch them do this and to learn that if they went up a little bit higher on the ramp, then they could come down and coast and go faster. And so that's another example of outdoor learning that our students are fortunate to be able to do. And then, again, this is our pre-K classroom. They were sledding on the leaves. This is our new outdoor learning space, and that's one of the things that I'm really proud about that we've been able to incorporate just this school year. So you can see they've got the sandbox there with the stumps that we had donated. In the back, we've got, if you can see here, we've got some of the spools that were donated. We've got some stones that were on my property. This is a little picnic table. And then we've added some other things to it since that photograph was taken back in the fall. But the kids had a ball. Just they piled up all the leaves and went sledding on a nice fall day.
And part of the plan that when we were designing these outdoor spaces came from the visit when we were at Mary Lee and went to visit the schools in Northern Indiana. So we came up with some of our ideas. We have to give the credit up there, to our friends at Mary Lee and people who are on this call with us, because it was based on the things we saw there that took us to the next level and helped us get there a little faster.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or comments at this point? We can kind of take a moment here.
I do have a question, and I think I know the answer because I met you all last year, but it might be worth mentioning. Can you explain how your preschool works at your school district? Because I think it's really unique compared to a lot of other public school districts. So can you just explain your preschool program that you have going on there?
So 13 of the 14 elementaries in our district have preschool classrooms, and our superintendent put out a referendum and it passed. So what that means is our preschool 4-year-olds can attend preschool as long as they live in our district, and they can attend to the school that they go to, or that they are, I guess, where they live, the school where they live. They can't transfer to other schools throughout the district as of right now. But every preschool 4-year-old can receive free pre-K in our district up to a certain amount of money. So the most out of pocket that any of our families would have to pay would be $4,000 for the whole year for pre-K. But most of them have a sliding scale for the cost for our pre-K.
And I'll add to that also, with the referendum, that also enabled us to buy many supplies. And I think you might have seen in the sledding video here, we got a new shed that we keep their materials in outside. And we would not have been able to purchase some of the things you'll see here without the referendum dollars.
Yeah, so we're very, very lucky. My building, we have right at 40 preschoolers. We have 2 classrooms, and each classroom has 2 adults. And then we also have a floater, which goes back and forth between the rooms. And I think Andrea's building, they have 1 preschool classroom. So we are very, very, very fortunate to be able to open this opportunity for our kids. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about how that looks differently in our buildings, but throughout the district, all of our kiddos that are 4-year-old have access to pre-K.
Any other questions?
So it's all like school or district sponsored, not in cooperation with any other organization like Head Start or the YMCA or any of those kinds of things, just all within house?
Yes, we do. Some of our kids do have On My Way pre-K, and we are all of our buildings are On My Way. We're certified. Yeah, paths to quality. We're all a level 4. Our whole district, every building is a level 4 paths to quality. once again, I will say all of our 4-year-old classrooms also have licensed certified teachers leading the room, and then each has at least 1, possibly 2 assistants in the classroom as well. So we have been very fortunate to be able to do that. All of our preschool teachers, our 4-year-old classroom teachers, have undergone a lot of training this year, and that will continue in the future as well.
Another space that I wanted to share with you, this is new as of last school year, is our outdoor learning pavilion. It is amazing. It's very similar to one on Indiana University's campus. We have beautiful limestone, as you'll see, like benches. And we use this space for multiple things. The teachers might just take their students out for to read outside or to do a performance outside. Here you can see, this was when we had our opening ceremony. That was a dress rehearsal when the students were practicing singing. And then we'll occasionally take the students out for lunch. This is have them eat outside and allow them to be outside for lunch. So that's nice when we can do that. I have learned that the first few times we did it, we did all 3 lunches in the same day. And that's a lot of supervision to be outside. So I've decided now when we'll just do one lunch at a time on a day when the weather's nice. We also did karaoke, had some karaoke like rewards for students, and they were singing here in the karaoke. This over here is an outdoor movie night. Our PTO has done that now for 2 years. In the fall, we have outdoor movie night and invite parents and families, and it's a fun time. And then you can see here this little panoramic photograph. I can't remember when we took that, but that's all the students out in the pavilion at one time. So we're very, very fortunate to have this nice space as well for multi-use purposes. And we also have a native plant garden, and we have a garden club that meets mostly after school, but we have several kids who just sometimes at recess just say, hey, can I go up and pick vegetables or pull weeds or help out in the garden? So you can see that the kids really enjoy that. It's a lot to keep up. It's a lot of work to keep it weeded and take care of it, but we're committed to doing that, and it's a lot of fun, and the kids really enjoy that. We've had lots of monarchs and lots of fun times there. We also have a vegetable garden, and you can see we've grown pumpkins, we've had lettuce. Our cafeteria has incorporated the lettuce into the salads. We grew potatoes, grew green beans in the cafeteria. Use those and we allowed the kids to try to taste them. Now, in many schools, you might not get by with that. You know, we're out in the country, and sometimes it just don't ask, don't tell. So we just do things that maybe you wouldn't be able to get by with in another school, but we have the kids eat their own vegetables. And if I'm out there and it's recess and the kids are out there, sometimes I let them eat the tomatoes out of the garden. You know, it's just like, that's what we do. So I haven't had one parent or administrator come call me on it yet. So it's fun. And then this is the pre-K grassy knoll that I showed you earlier. The pre-K go out there every day, usually for at least about an hour or so, spending time in the afternoon just playing in the leaves, playing in the sand. We brought some logs in. These stones over here came from my house. Here the kids made like a teepee out of sticks, and then they put leaves around it. Had a fun time with that. Of course, they love like playing with their little kitchen and making mud pies and pretending to be making food. This picture over here was taken one day when a tree had fallen down across the trail, and so the kids had a fun time figuring out different ways that they could get over it or around it or under it. So that was a lot of fun.
we could also go back to that we saw the outdoor kitchen at one of the schools when we visited on our journey into northern Indiana with the Mary Lee team. And I think we've tried to incorporate as much of the things that we learned up there. But I just want to give kudos to Caitlin and those of you at Mary Lee, because if it hadn't been for that trip, we wouldn't be as far along in this process.
Agreed. That's definitely the case. Here's a little baby picnic table that our maintenance staff made for us. So we have 2 of those. I think the kids are kind of already outgrowing them, so we might need to get another size larger. And then this is an example, and again, thanks to Mary Lee for helping guide us on some of the outdoor clothing that was recommended. So we got these the rain gear in not too long after school started, and again, we wouldn't have been able to do this without the referendum dollars. We haven't had too many rainy days, but they've been out there on more than one occasion in the rain gear, and they just have a great time. They discovered that they could go down the slide faster, and so they're learning science concepts again, kind of like the ramp, in the physics. They learned that they could go down the slide faster because they had the rain gear and because it was wet. And then we also brought in a little bit of dirt and made like a dirt sandbox, a dirt box for them, as in addition to the sandbox. Here, this day over here, there was a drain that had been clogged up, so they got to play in a big puddle of rain. And then also we've had a couple of snowy days where they've been able to get outside and play in the snow. There you can see the new shed that we got, and then there's sliding down the hill. Here you can see they made some kind of like bird food with popcorn and some sort of fruit, like cherries or something. I can't remember exactly, cranberries or something. They put those outside for the birds. So they've been outside, and I know they were outside today in their snow gear. And we've got the sleds there. And I think I guess that's all I wanted to share with you. I thought that the pictures could. Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Just double check.
Thanks, Matt.
That the pictures could show you some of the opportunities that we've been able to give to our students this year.
Do you guys have any questions?
Oh yeah, I have one. Before we move on to the other school, do any of your older kiddos get out there and utilize, obviously that pavilion, it looked like all the students, but do any of the older aged kiddos come out and utilize any of those spaces and that?
They do. Thank you for mentioning that. And I didn't have time to include many pictures, but yes, the pond area on a regular basis, they're out there, as well as the outdoor pavilion that I showed you. Those are the 2 main spaces that they use. And we've got trails as well. Now, our kindergarten has gone out and used that new grassy knoll space a couple of times, but primarily it's been the pre-K in that new space. But across all grade levels, teachers are getting the kids outside to the pond, to the outdoor pavilion. As we also have a shelter house. I didn't show a photograph of that, but we also have a shelter house that they use sometimes as well. So it's across all grade levels.
I had a few questions as well, and I can reach out to you later too. So like for the gardening and such, do you have a certain person or committee in charge of that? I find that that's oftentimes a sticking point, like who's in charge of it and who's making sure it keeps up in the summer and all those things.
Yes, I do have one teacher who that's really her area and her love. She's not really knowledgeable about gardening, but she enjoys it. And we've had some parents that have really stepped up to help after school. And then I enjoy it as well. So that's something that I like to do with students. And sometimes actually there'll be a student that might be having a behavior problem or need some extra one-on-one time, and we'll go out and pull weeds and talk about school and what they're doing.
I hear that from other programs too, which is fantastic. And then like, is there any kind of articulation between like the curriculum you mentioned, Earth, between that pre-K and elementary side of things? Like they've had this immersive outdoor experience and obviously you shared some ways of how they're getting outside as they move into elementary, but is there an organized structure for them to have some of that outdoor free play again, or how does that work?
Well, so actually, this year is the first year that our pre-K has gotten this involved in being outside.
Oh, okay, cool.
The program has really, as Sue had mentioned, with the referendum dollars and with the movement of certified teachers in that position, the whole preschool program in the district has kind of gone through an evolution over the last year. The teacher who's now in the pre-K position was formerly a pre-K teacher. That's really her passion. So she was a certified teacher. So when we had the opening for a certified position, she moved into that, and she's a farm girl and outdoor girl. So she is very passionate about this. And so it's kind of like been the perfect storm, as you say, of the referendum, the restructuring of pre-K, and then moving this teacher into this position that really was willing to run with it. She actually took the course through Mary Lee, but she did it online. I think she did it in April and May. And maybe some of you might have been on that with her. Caitlin, do you remember when that was? Her name is Julie Fairfield.
I think she did the Fisty class through with Joe.
Yes,
Or
yes.
School Teacher Institute.
She did. Yeah. So back to your question about the other grades, the teachers try to incorporate the earth in any other lessons that they possibly can. And one thing that was interesting that our kindergarten, first and second grade teachers did this year was they've taken one letter of the earth, and they've had what's called Earth Fridays, and on Friday afternoon each of the teachers planned a lesson under that letter, like say it was their health month, and then they rotated the students through the teacher. So the teacher planned one lesson, and then for instance a kindergarten teacher might teach it to her kindergarten class one Friday, and then the next Friday she teaches the same lesson to the first grade, and the next day the same lesson, or next week the same lesson to second grade. So that's kind of neat too, where the students get to be exposed to a different teacher over the course of the month. And it's also the teachers are only preparing one lesson, but getting bang for their buck because they're sharing that experience with multiple students.
And then, this may be for later for both of you too. Just kind of curious about your stance on the S in arrow safety. Obviously, you're allowing for risky play and things, and just some of those practical implications of it. I know oftentimes when I'm working with public schools, they're often a little bit less willing to go there with risky play. And sometimes won't even let children pick up like a stick or a rock kind of thing. And so just curious about how you all are handling that in your situations.
Well, I will say it's kind of been embedded in Unionville's culture for a while now.
And our culture as well at Lakeview.
And the other thing is there was some concern. So you can see in this one photograph where the I better go over here. You can see where this fence is right here. Our school and playground is on the other side of that fence. So leading down this way leads down to our pond area. The pond area did not have a fence around it. It had an old fence, probably 100 years ago, that was all barbed wire. You could barely even see it, and was torn down. So when I proposed this new grassy knoll space, primarily for pre-K, there was some concern from district level that the pre-K kids could accidentally wander off to the pond. So it took a lot of work and some negotiation for me to get that space that I wanted and to get it cleared. That it wasn't exactly perfect the way that I wanted it, but it was a compromise that I needed to do. But it was proposed, well, let me see if I can. There was a proposal to say let's put a fence around this grassy knoll area. And I didn't like that feeling of a fenced in space. So the compromise, they put this little split rail fence here, and there's a little bit of a cliff drop off on the other side. But I was able to negotiate, and I remembered that there was that old barbed wire fence that went along the pond. So they were able to put up a chain link fence along the pond. So now there's a gate going down to the pond, and that eased the concern that the pre-K students might wander to the pond.
I think also too is we can't really justify for other buildings or other districts. You know, everybody has their thing and every district is different. We just happen to be in a district where our superintendent is really encouraging us to get kids outside, and we sees the value in that. And once again, we have the culture, and we do a lot of communication with families. You know, we have so much conversation, so many conversations with our parents. And I think that's part of it too, is our parents are really, they are engaged in this as well. They want their kids to be outside. They see the value in it. So I don't think we can justify it for other buildings. It's just working for us here.
Well, if there's no other questions for now, I'll turn it over to Sue.
So Lakeview Elementary, we are really lucky. We are sitting on 63 acres, not far from Lake Monroe. We have about a 3-mile hiking trail that is open to the public when it's not school hours. But we've been really lucky to work with, Paul Shercliffe.
Yeah.
Maker Challenge, Maker something. Mm-hmm. An organization that has helped us. He came in last year and worked with some of our older kids to develop some signs with some 3D printing, and they mapped our hiking trail out and put up some navigation, and also to point out different like trees that are Indiana native plants in Indiana. So we did that last year. We also have 2 outdoor learning spaces, and I will share those with you. We have a vast playground and area behind our building that is not fenced in, and that's been a conversation that we've been having. We do have multiple, and so does Andrea's building. We have multiple nature-based field trips. We go to, our 5th graders go to, it's called Bradford Woods, and they go there for 3 days and 2 nights throughout the year. Our whole district does that. We have Griffey Lake locally that our kids go to. They go to Peden Farms. So they go to Leonard Springs. Those are just a few of our nature-based field trips that all of our kids go to. I will say that our program at Lakeview is not as far along as Andrea's. I look at her every time I see this presentation, I get a little envious, but we do use our outdoor space a lot. If you, in this picture here, we have a STEM bus that comes to our school, but right now these are 6th grade, 5th grade math, and they're doing some shadow work outside, but they use different areas of the playground and different areas of this outdoor space to determine that. But we are focused on taking learning beyond the classroom walls. And I think that's where we want to engage them in active multisensory learning experiences that give them the knowledge and capacities that explore real world challenges. And that is a big deal for us. We have created outdoor learning environments, and we provide learning tools to them. We have a teacher who has written some grants through our community foundation and has developed a couple of outdoor learning spaces. But we also have, after going to Mary Lee, we have little wagons with lots of materials in there for our kiddos as they go outside. And we have multiple wagons for multiple grade levels. This quote I came across on a vacation in northern Michigan, that we will be known forever by the tracks we leave behind. And that has kind of sparked and encouraged this process at Lakeview. Just as Andrea said, I have been at Lakeview for this is my 3rd year at Lakeview. So we started this process, and I will tell you that we are moving slowly because we want our team to not feel so overwhelmed with it. We are hopefully going to be STEM certified. It's called STEM by Nature at Lakeview. We have gone through the application process, and we're waiting for our next steps. So cross your fingers for us, because it was quite a long process. But we are looking to be STEM by Nature certified, and we want some environmental education because it's so prevalent in our area. We have on our trail, we have this bridge, and on the other side, it goes into a big ravine, and sometimes there's water down there, sometimes there's not. We do not have a pond on our campus, and that resource, but it would be wonderful. And we've kind of talked about how we can make it possible with a local engineer. This is one of our little kindergarten guys over here. They're out on the trail actually doing some collection of leaves. They're making creatures, but just so you know, there are also 3rd graders out there at the same time working hand in hand with them. So I think that has been really good for us. Here's once again, our kindergartners are on a trail hike, and our kindergartners, they go out at least once a month, sometimes once a week, but we also have this we call it our outdoor track. We have a track that our kids use every day. Actually, I had a teacher just text and say, hey, are we going to get our outdoor track cleaned off this week? Because we do track loops. We do a lot of work with TBRI, which is Through Hope of Light, and it's trust-based relational intervention. And it really is talking about how we impact what's happening in the classroom by our own experiences, but also different strategies that we can use with kids. And one of them is an outdoor learning break. So our teachers take advantage of that every day, multiple times throughout the day. We, as an administrator, we also take kids out on we call it a track lap, and some kids need that track lap. But so that's also part of our outdoor learning space. This was one of our most recent outdoor learning spaces, and we used grant funds to pay for this. Actually, Bloomington High School South kids built the picnic tables, and we used grant funds to purchase the outdoor chalkboard, and that we had a parent that made that little outdoor book nook. But what we're putting in there is we have clipboards and binoculars and magnifying glass and all of the little things that kids need when they go outside to do outdoor learning. We also have a new, this is still a work in progress. We have a solar field that has been put in recently, and we're working with, it's called Verigy. That's the company that has built the solar panels or put the solar field in, but they are paying for us to receive curriculum and tools and learning strategies from, it's a national organization. It's called NEED, and they are going to work with us once the panels are finished. They're going to come out and talk to our kids. Our kids are actually going to be able to go out there, sit and touch the panels, and really engage with that before they turn them on. So we're very excited about that. We have 411 kids in our building. So we are all going out and they're going to touch those solar panels before we turn them on. We also have, and this is where Andrea's family comes into play, we also have a space attached to that solar field that is going to allow us to have a corral of sheep. And Andrea's brother is a sheep farmer, and we're going to work with him, and we will have sheep on our campus, and we're going to be able to go out and monitor all the things related to the solar panels and the sheep. So we're really excited about gathering data and working through that. We do not have a sound curriculum that aligns with that at this point, so that's some of the work that we still have left to do. I can stop if anyone has questions.
I love that space.
So the new space, this is really, and all of you will love this, but our very first teacher day, if you look at the one picture right here with the teachers, it was probably, so that outdoor learning space, if you notice at the top, you can see our maintenance team at the last minute helped us put in this canvas to help block the sun. But just so you know, it gets the morning sun. And on our first day of teacher professional development, we did this mandala activity in that outdoor learning space for our teachers. And it was like 90 degrees, but we did it. Our team had a great time doing that. And then some of the teachers went back, and this is what you could see here. They took their kiddos down there and did the same mandala project. And I have linked that in this presentation in case you want to maybe enjoy doing that with your kiddos. It was really fun. They just gather things in nature. And I'm not going to lie, I had a teacher bring in some flowers because it was so hot and dry that day that we didn't have access to a lot of things. So, but it was really fun. And then a lot of the teachers did it with their classes. So I tried to model what opportunities they have that they can do with their kiddos. Now, this is our future. And we have a great PTO. And last year we did a fund run and we raised $18,000 we have an outdoor learning space that we are wanting to cultivate. It is not like the pavilion that they have at Unionville, but this is kind of our model for our goal. And we have some local organizations that are willing to help us. We have a new superintendent this year, so we're kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern for moving forward. But we would like to have a space outdoors that all of our kids, we can all gather. Right now, it is the side of a hill, and we do go outside and do some things out there with all of our kids. So in this area also, one of the gentlemen who came out and helped us put in our canvas over our screen canvas, he believes that he can help us get some water pump that pumps water up through we have a drain. And he said, he thinks that he can create a space there so kids could have access to water. So that's a big deal for us. I can't imagine how much it costs, but it's a big deal. Anybody have any questions? They always say, dream big, right? So we are. So we have a preschool space right now that is, if you notice these two sets of doors in this picture here, this is our goal for our outdoor preschool space. That is not what it looks like right now. If you look to these pictures here, but our preschool go out there every day. And we also have access, they can access the outside trail as well, but it is further from their classroom. So we really take advantage of this one small space outside their room. And our teachers are new to pre-K this year, so they do some outdoor things, but it isn't our goal next year or within the next couple of years is kind of to model what they do at Unionville. We are not there yet. So our focus is to build knowledge of sustainability and conservation. We have the solar field. We wanted to start doing some more recycling. We want to work on protecting and managing natural resources. We have developed a relationship with the U.S. Forest Service, and they are in Bedford, which isn't far from us, and they're really looking forward to working with us as well. We also and we were talking about the gardening earlier, so we do not want to put in this large garden and then have to feel like it's a big chore for people to use. We just received a grant, and we are going to have every classroom in our building is going to on March 24th, they are going to plant hydroponic gardens in their classrooms. They're small, but our goal is to have small gardens in our classroom. And then you notice with our outdoor learning space, we would like to have a small area for each grade level to start with, whether they're doing wildflowers or lettuce or whatever the grade level decides. But we're going to start small with small spaces. So we're starting with the hydroponic gardening and then moving outside probably next year to the outside space. We study local environmental conservation. We try to talk to them about sustainable lifestyles, and it's a big deal. We have a very diverse group of students in our building. We have some kids that are farmers that are 4-H, and then we have some kids who live in town that drive to Lakeview for class. So it's building and cultivating that lifestyle that we want kids to understand how great it is for them to be outside and how beneficial it is to our environment and our conservation. So it is trying to change a mindset, which is probably why we're all here today, right? Here's our little solar panels. That's kind of our partnership with Verigy. Because of the amount of rain we had in the fall, and then now we're into snow, they're going to really start coming out in the spring and kind of working with us on our solar energy. And we do have some parents that work at Crane that are very engaged and involved in solar energy. So we're very excited about that. Our classes work with local farmers. We have chickens. We have a teacher who raises baby goats she raises goats and shows them. So there is many days that we have goats wearing diapers walking around our hallway following the kids. I would say almost weekly in the spring for sure. And here's just some things of our kids learning outside and investigating. These are our preschools, and kindergarten is over on the left, and that's at Peden Farms. Here's one of our mandalas, but we really want to continue to cultivate that desire to learn more and work to continue to develop those outdoor spaces. We have another outdoor space that's down by, it's a little bit further from the building, so our littles don't really go down there as often because it's quite a hike. But I told them that it can be done. I was at Mary Lee and watched them push their wagon down the trail. So we're just not there yet, but we're getting there. We appreciate you letting us share our stories today, because everybody's story is different. And hopefully you can take away something from us the way we took away ideas from our Mary Lee trip.
Thank you.
And we would love to have you visit.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. We'll maybe open it up to 1 or 2 quick questions if anybody has any final questions before we wrap up.
Question was, are you all the principals at your schools? Yeah. At my school, yes. I'm the only principal. I don't have an assistant principal.
I have a part-time assistant principal, 2.5 days a week. So yes, we are the administrators in our buildings, and we want to encourage our teachers as much as possible to get kids outside.
I think the other question was about the yellow rain gear. If that was the Oki, or if that was the
I can't remember, because the yellow ones are cute, but we really wanted red because our school colors are red. And the pre-K teacher and I are all about, keeping certain traditions. Over the years, some people forgot that the red was the school color. So we really wanted red. I can't remember which brand we ended up with, because what we were originally looking at didn't have the red, and then the jacket did. It was, I can't remember now, but I can look that up and get back to you what we ended up settling on, what brand we had. We looked at quite a few, and they sent us samples. The company was really nice about sending us samples to look at one, and before we made our decision.
Yeah, if you want to check into that, I can send that in follow-up email.
And then we just got the winter gear, like right before the holidays, and I can't remember where we got that from, but we didn't originally start off with that. I didn't know how much money we would have, and so I waited on the winter gear for a little while. But then I'm glad we got that.
We are very, very lucky. Our maintenance team is incredible. And I noticed someone put that in the chat, and you are right. We can't ask. Those guys are amazing. And we are very lucky every day that but part of it is it's a little bit of an attraction for them too, because they love to come out and see the kids in that space.
Yeah, they made a place, a railing, like hooks and railings for us to hang them outside the classroom. They, like I said, the little picnic tables and getting the stones spread around. We've been very fortunate. One thing I do want to add to that Grassy Knolls place, and I'll just tell you just a little bit of the history of what happened there is I kind of marked off a place where I wanted it to be. And they were just, the maintenance was just going to come in and they were going to kind of clean up the shrubs a little bit. But once they got there, they decided we're just going to just clear cut the whole thing. So it wasn't really the image of what I wanted, you know, of just bare dirt when we started school this year, and that's what it was. But I had to just take a deep breath and say, this is the compromise that is allowing me to get this space. I had to get the fence along the pond. I didn't have to settle for fencing in the actual area, so I was glad for that. They clear cutted the whole thing. I brought in a couple ferns that I picked, dug up from my woods around my house. I want to get some native plants around that area and put some more ferns and some things like that down in that area. That's my goal for this summer going into next school year.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for providing your contact if folks have follow-up information. And we can send out some more of the information once you send it to me in our follow-up email. So
okay.
Thank you all.
And I'll look, Caitlin, to see if that one pre-K student that can't have a picture is in any of them before.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we can
take me a few days to get back to you on that because I've got a lot of meetings.
Not a problem. So I just want to, before we part ways, just want to share some other upcoming opportunities. Our meeting next month is going to be, we have Molly Tyler, and she is with the YMCA program over in Warsaw. So not too far down the road from us, but she's going to be sharing a little bit about her program that she has going on there. And she also just received a pretty nice grant from the Deco Foundation locally here to get some rain gear. So if we have questions about rain gear, she'll definitely be able to help us out next month. And then Foy, do you want to tell us a little bit about, ladies, thank you for giving us lots of plugs about our PD here at Mary Lee. We didn't even like prompt you with those, but we appreciate those plugs. But Foy, can you tell us a little bit about our program that we have coming up in February?
Yeah, we are going to do another kind of for school type outdoor learning education. We've been kind of throwing around acronyms because it was getting lost in just our general part of Mary Lee programming. So we called it like Exploring Nature, but we also have Nature's Explorers. So currently it's called OWL to make it sound a little different, which is Outdoor Wilderness Learning or something with education. I have it up here, Outdoor Wilderness Learning for Educators. And it will be kind of that same format as last year where it'll have 2 days. You can stay at Mary Lee if you want. We've got kind of dorm style accommodations in the Eco Village. And we will do those site visits where you'll get to see our nature pre-K and then also go out and see some of the other nearby ones that are public schools, in private residences, at private schools, kind of get like the gamut of what it can look like in different ways. Because yeah, everyone's place is different. What you have available is different. We don't have running water in our outdoor classroom, but we do have a rain barrel. And so like you can kind of see those different options are available. And it is going to be February 20th and 21st. And it's $195 for the workshop. And that includes all your meals. We make really good food for you all because it's a good time to have everyone together. And that'll be up here in Albion.
Yeah, and I put the link for that below, and I'll also send out that flyer again in our kind of our wrap-up email from today. And then Carla, thanks for giving our grad program a plug there if anybody's looking at potential grad school. So we have a great program here. Any other upcoming professional development that folks are aware of that you want to share with the group?
That outdoor learning group from Canada, they have free webinars all the time that have been very good quality. So, and all kinds of different topics and such. So I've enjoyed those.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to the one tomorrow night. But yeah, they have quite a few. Carla, would you mind dropping a link to that one in the
Sure.
chat? That'd be great. That'd be a good one. So,
Oh, and I was going to mention Joe Pounds is back for our outdoor
yes.
wilderness learning for educators. Uh,
Yeah.
he helped with our acronym change.
Yeah. Yeah. We're excited to be able to host him back. So, perfect. Well, with that, then thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you both for streaming down all the way in Bloomington with all your snow. So, thanks for sharing your great resources, and we look forward to seeing you all back here in a couple of months.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.